Hi. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you've never been here before. Today, we are going to be reviewing Late Night with the Devil. This movie just came out. I'm sure you've heard a lot about it, whether good things or bad things, whether controversy or not controversy. You've probably heard about this if you're in the horror movie realm. Listen, I won't talk very much about this whole AI controversy because I don't really care about it. With that, all I will say about that is, yes, I understand not wanting to have AI in your movie. It's taking jobs away from actual people with actual artistic ability. I don't want to normalize it. With that, it's barely in this movie. We can get over it. So that's all I'll say about that. That's been said and done. Let's throw that over there now, right? It's not relevant anymore. We're gonna be talking about what I thought about the actual movie itself. But before we get into that, I just want to quickly shout out my Patreon. I started adding exclusive videos at the end of every month just for my patrons. So if you want to be a part of that, you can get that for the $1 tier as well. Full-length reactions for the $5 and $10 tier. And $10 tier, you get an extra little shout out at the end of my videos. So if you want to help support me, help support the channel, all of that, give videos earlier than when I post them here on YouTube. Link for that will be in the description below. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. If you do not know the premise of this movie, I will quickly go over it because, like I said, if you're in the horror movie realm, I'm sure you know the context of this movie. But the premise of this is a live broadcast of a late night talk show in 1977 goes horribly wrong, unleashing evil into the nation's living rooms. Okay, so this is kind of like a found footage movie. It's supposed to be kind of like a documentary. It's like unseen clips have been brought to the surface from this talk show that aired in the 70s. That was very popular in the 70s. This talk show host is supposed to be kind of like a Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel-esque type of guy. I mean, it's very cheesy. He's very cheesy, just like most late night talk show hosts are. There's a lot of like live band, boom type of slapstick comedy like that, right? The whole premise of this is found footage, never before seen footage comes to light. It gives you a little bit of background on the host as well, his story, and why he cares so much about these ratings and all that. So the movie goes a lot deeper than just that. It's not just, okay, this is a broadcast and shit goes awry. It's so much more creative. It's so much more elaborate and in-depth than just the premise I read to you. The context of it is this show was canceled after this broadcast that never ended up being aired because shit went down and the show ended, basically. This basically ended the show completely. So the episode in question is a Halloween episode. The main talk show host brings on a couple things because it's Halloween, it's supposed to be spooky. So he brings on a guy who's kind of like a medium and can talk with the dead, and he brings on a skeptic, basically, a guy who's kind of devoted his life to debunking the existence of ghosts, demonic possessions, things like that by using practical effects. He's also a hypnotist, so he kind of uses that logic as well to justify a lot of these things. Thirdly, he brings on this woman who actually does study demonic possessions, psychological entanglements, I guess I will say, and she brings on one of her subjects that she's been studying, which is a 12-year-old girl who is possessed. There's your premise. There you go. Have fun. I don't want to give too much away because it's best to really go into this blindly and not knowing what happens. So all I'm gonna say is that this was a 5-star for me instantly. Me and my cousin were literally watching this, sitting in our seats like this at the very end. I mean, shit really pops off. So I will say, I've been seeing a lot of people kind of saying that, you know, not much happens until the very end when shit goes awry. I don't believe that for a second, because the movie does a great job of really making you feel like this is real. And this is going to be a great movie to watch when it comes to streaming. I believe it'll be coming to Shudder sometime this month in April. So I feel like this is a great TV watch, because the whole premise is you're watching a TV show. Like, I already want to rewatch it. Part of me wants to get a Shudder account just to rewatch this movie. That's how good it is. It really hooks you in and makes you feel like this is real. The acting was superb, and it does use a great amount of practical and also digital effects. I really was not expecting pretty much anything that happened in this movie. It really had me hooked. I was on the edge of my seat. Pretty much everything that happened in this movie, I felt it to my core. I think the whole premise of it being a live show and there's a live audience there as well really raises the stakes in like the best way possible. It raises the stakes so much, because now you feel like you're one of the audience members, or the host or the producers or whatever are almost responsible for you too as a viewer, because even in the movie theater, you're kind of an audience, right? You're in a movie theater, you're in seats, there's other people around you, kind of like a live show. I think that was a perfect premise, a perfect way to describe this, especially making it like a documentary, because that also made it feel real as well. I really cannot talk more positively about this movie. I just loved how it's been a long time since I've seen a movie, especially in theaters, where I come out and I instantly know that's a 5-star. I will say a little part of the ending, I kind of was like, what even is the point of this happening now? But it ties in perfectly. There was a reason for it. There's a reason for every little thing in this movie. They show every little thing. You even get some cool backstage clips of in between commercial breaks when things slowly start to get more and more awry, of the producers, of the host trying to, we got to keep the show running. You know, the host, it's all about the ratings. He's got to keep the show running. I think they did a fantastic job of making this feel real. Like I said, 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5 stars. This was fantastic. I just love what it made me feel in the end. And I will say, this genuinely scared me. That's another thing too. I feel like it's really hard to scare adults, especially nowadays with so many different types of horror movies, so many horror movies in general, and it can kind of feel like the same type of scares, the same type of jump scares, or just same type of premises. Everything feels like a remake. It's just so good to watch a movie that feels so original, that feels so unique, and actually genuinely scares me because of the position they put the viewer in. You feel genuinely scared because they do a really good job of utilizing the sound or the editing or the camera work, all things like that. They do a really good job of putting that all together to hook in the viewers. I really think they use a good mixture of different types of media to genuinely scare you. Like, even me and my cousin, who's older than me, that I was watching this with, we were both pretty genuinely scared. Like I said, I feel like it's hard to scare adults nowadays, but this did a good job. Not even so because you don't need like scary images, like, ooh, like, you know, Pennywise, a clown. You don't need scary images to scare people. I think it's the feeling that you get, the realness of the situation. I watched this at nighttime, right? I saw like a 9 p.m. showing. I was afraid to really like go home and to my dark, scary house. It's been such a long time since I've seen a movie like that that genuinely scared me. And that's saying something, because like I said, they don't even utilize so much of like scary face images, blah. But it still made me had that fear of like, I'm afraid of the dark right now. I cannot encourage you to watch this movie enough. It is fantastic. Oh my gosh, this was so good. And there's so much of it that I really appreciated. This is a perfect Halloween watch. I do like that it was kind of centered around Halloween, but since it is found footage, it's not released around Halloween because it's a documentary and it doesn't have to be released around Halloween. It's not a Halloween movie. It's just like something that happened one Halloween night and now we're making a documentary about it. So I think that this was probably one of the best movies to come out this year. Who knows what else the year has in store for us in terms of just like any type of movie, but especially horror, because we all know early released horror movies in like the January, February area, not really the best. They don't tend to be the greatest movies. But this broke that curse. I mean, it's March, but still, this really blew me out of the water. It made me so excited to see like maybe what else Shudder can produce, because this is produced by Shudder. This is like a Shudder movie, but they actually released it for theaters. I just say, like, don't think too much about the whole AI thing. It doesn't matter. It's not even really in the movie at all. Honestly, I don't like that people are review bombing this just because they know what's in the movie and they have not even seen the movie. It makes me really sad to see that, because this is such a great original horror movie and we don't see that very often. And people have the audacity to review bomb something they've never even watched. So 10 out of 10. All right, this is a great movie. Please, please, please go and see this in theaters. Or I feel like you can even wait till this goes on streaming. I think it'll go on streaming very soon, and I think it will do that as well. But please, turn all the lights off, grab a snack, get all cozy, and don't get up to go to the bathroom, because you're gonna want to stay in and watch this whole thing. I had to go pee so bad, probably like the last like 30 minutes, but I was like, I don't want to leave. I need to see all of this through, and I'm so glad I did. You don't want to miss anything in this movie. So with that said and done, I want to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons, and especially Mark Sylvester, David Kaplan, James Cox, and Tragic Mike. Thank you so much, and make sure to go ahead and check out my Patreon if you haven't already. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, my Patreon will be linked in the description of this video. If you want to check that out and support me there, that would be hot and sexy, but that's totally up to you. What did you guys think about Late Night with the Devil? Please, please, please no spoilers. I don't want this movie to be spoiled for anyone who hasn't seen it or has even the slightest desire or inkling to watch this movie. I don't want any spoilers to happen for them, because I almost don't even want them to watch a trailer. Don't even watch a trailer. Just go see the movie and see what happens, just for shits and giggles. If you do have to spoil it, please make it very obvious in the comments. I'm just so excited to talk about this with you guys. Makes me disappointed to see people not liking it. Even aside from like the AI thing, I came out of the movies thinking, how could anyone not give this 5 stars? I don't think that it's possible, but it is possible. Thank you guys for coming along with me on this journey. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all of that jazz, and as always, thanks for watching.